Walkable Centers. American cities spend $12,000 per household annually on car ownership, while Europeans walk to corner cafes. You've probably noticed European city centers feel different the moment you step into them. Amsterdam's Canal District, Copenhagen's Strøget, and Munich's Marienplatz share one radical design choice. They kicked cars out decades ago. Instead of engine noise and exhaust fumes, the air filled with conversation and the ringing of bicycle bells. The result transformed these districts into economic powerhouses. Property values increased 40% in Copenhagen's pedestrian zones since 1962. Local businesses saw revenue jump 25% when customers could actually stop and browse without dodging traffic. American downtowns chose parking lots over people. Houston demolished 40% of its downtown buildings for surface parking between 1950 and 2000. That's not urban renewal. That's urban surrender. European walkable centers generate 3 times more tax revenue per acre than car-dependent American suburbs. Walking isn't just pleasant, it's profitable for cities that embrace pedestrian-focused design choices. Every dollar invested in walkability returns $7 in economic activity within 5 years. Social housing Vienna built 220,000 public housing units that middle-class families actually want to live in. Not brutalist concrete blocks from a dystopian movie. Beautiful buildings with gardens, playgrounds, and community spaces integrated throughout the city. The average Viennese resident spends 21% of income on housing. Americans in major cities spend 35% or more. Remember those luxury apartment towers going up everywhere in American cities? They're not solving the housing crisis. They're creating investment vehicles for international capital. Vienna's model keeps housing affordable by treating shelter as infrastructure, not speculation. The city owns 30% of all residential units. Private developers cannot manipulate the entire market when government housing sets the standard. Amsterdam, Stockholm, and Berlin follow similar approaches. Their housing costs remain stable while American rents doubled in the past decade. Young professionals in Vienna can actually afford apartments in desirable neighborhoods instead of commuting 2 hours from distant suburbs. Public transit. Tokyo's rail system moves 40 million passengers daily with 99.7% on-time performance. The average delay measures 54 seconds. American transit agencies celebrate when trains arrive within 10 minutes of schedule. This gap isn't about cultural efficiency differences. It's about investment choices. European governments spend 3 to 4% of GDP on public transportation infrastructure annually. America spends less than 1%. London's Underground carries 5 million daily riders through tunnels built 160 years ago because they maintained and expanded the system continuously. American cities built subway systems, then deprived them of funding for decades. New York's subway infrastructure dates to 1904 with stations crumbling from deferred maintenance. Signal systems from the 1930s still control distinct lines, causing massive bottlenecks daily. European transit functions because governments treat it as essential infrastructure, not a welfare program for people who cannot afford cars. The framing determines the funding. Essential services receive consistent investment regardless of which political party holds power. Bike networks. Residents in central Copenhagen make 62% of trips to work or school by bicycle. That statistic doesn't reflect Danish fitness enthusiasm. It reflects 450 kilometers of protected bike lanes connecting every neighborhood. The infrastructure makes cycling the obvious transportation choice. You've probably attempted biking in an American city. Painted lines on roads don't qualify as bike infrastructure. Cars park in them. Delivery trucks block them. One gap in the network forces cyclists back into dangerous traffic. Dutch cities spend €30 per resident annually on cycling infrastructure. American cities average €1.50. The Netherlands maintains 35,000 kilometers of dedicated bike paths. These networks function as complete transportation systems, not recreational amenities for weekend warriors. Copenhagen's cycling infrastructure saves the city €250 million annually in healthcare costs alone. Protected bike lanes aren't expensive. Car infrastructure is expensive. Bikes simply reveal how much cities overspend on automobile accommodation. A single highway interchange costs more than an entire city's bike network. Mixed use. European neighborhoods position apartments above shops, offices beside restaurants, schools within walking distance of homes. This arrangement isn't charming historical accident. It's deliberate zoning policy that creates neighborhood vitality. American cities legally prohibit this mixing across 75% of urban land through single-use zoning regulations. Building a corner store in most American neighborhoods is literally against the law. Paris allows residential, commercial, and light industrial uses throughout most of the city. The result? Neighborhood bakeries, pharmacies, and cafes survive because customers live upstairs and next door. American strip malls require driving to purchase milk. European mixed-use districts generate foot traffic that supports small businesses without requiring parking lots, consuming valuable land. The 15-minute city concept Europeans discuss isn't radical innovation. It describes how cities functioned for thousands of years before American zoning laws outlawed mixed neighborhoods in the 1920s. Separating land uses by law was the radical experiment. Mixed neighborhoods were the historical norm across every continent and civilization. Historic preservation. Rome protects buildings older than most American cities exist. This preservation strategy isn't nostalgic romanticism. It's calculated economic policy. Historic districts in European cities command premium rents and tourist spending precisely because they weren't demolished for parking garages and highway interchanges. You've seen American cities destroy their historic cores for urban renewal projects that failed spectacularly. Boston's West End, once a vibrant immigrant neighborhood, became a sterile concrete wasteland that still feels empty today. European cities learned from American mistakes and chose differently. Barcelona, Prague, and Edinburgh protect historic building facades while allowing interior modernization for contemporary needs. The result? Cities with distinctive character that attract billions in tourism revenue annually. American cities bulldozed their character, then wondered why downtowns emptied out as suburban malls proliferated. Historic preservation maintains accumulated investment from generations rather than starting over every 50 years, when architectural fashions change and yesterday's modern becomes tomorrow's eyesore. Buildings that survived centuries usually did so because they worked well for human needs. Public squares. Every European city maintains squares where residents gather without spending money. Copenhagen's Nyhavn, Barcelona's Plaça de Catalunya, London's Trafalgar Square function as living rooms for entire metropolitan populations. These spaces host markets, public gatherings, celebrations, and everyday social interaction throughout the year. American public spaces increasingly require consumption for participation. Shopping malls replaced town squares. Coffee shops charge admission through mandatory purchase requirements. The privatization of public life forces social interaction behind paywalls that exclude anyone unwilling to spend. European squares thrive because surrounding buildings face inward with active ground floors engaging the space. Cafes spill onto sidewalks. Apartments overlook the activity below. Eyes on the square create natural safety and constant vitality. American plazas often sit empty because parking garages and blank walls surround them. Boston's City Hall Plaza covers 11 acres and feels abandoned even during organized events. Public space works when cities design adjacent buildings to engage with it rather than present blank walls to pedestrians walking past. The buildings surrounding a square matter as much as the square itself. Low-speed zones. European cities now limit speeds to 30 kilometers per hour on residential streets throughout urban cores. Paris implemented citywide 30 kilometers per hour limits in 2021. Brussels, Barcelona, and Amsterdam followed with similar comprehensive policies. The results transformed neighborhoods within months. Traffic injuries dropped 25% in the first year of implementation. Noise pollution decreased by half. Children started playing outside again in streets previously dominated by speeding vehicles. You've noticed American residential streets feel like highways designed for maximum throughput. That's because engineers designed them as highways. Wide lanes encourage speeding regardless of posted limits or driver intentions. European traffic calming uses narrow streets, raised crosswalks, and physical barriers that make speeding uncomfortable at a physical level. American cities widen roads and add lanes, then express confusion when speeds increase despite lower posted limits. Low-speed zones cost almost nothing to implement compared to road-widening projects. Paint, signs, and strategic bollards transform dangerous streets into livable neighborhoods. The engineering knowledge exists. American cities simply choose not to apply it. Every traffic engineer learned these principles in school. Political will determines whether communities implement proven safety measures or continue accepting dangerous conflicts as inevitable. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit the like button and subscribe.